sudden deaths, rigor mortis can develop rapidly because the violent struggling during drowning may deplete ATP, which is an enzyme from the muscles. Bruising and scratching around the ankles seem to indicate that the victim was grabbed from below and held under the water. Lack of oxygen starts to become severe. The victim reaches breaking point. Desperate for air, he inhales large volumes of water into the lungs. Finally, respiration stops, and the lack of oxygen to the brain becomes irreversible, and death occurs. In this particular instance, the victim was blind. You see, placed on top of the victim's clothes, which were found in a neatly folded pile at the end of the diving board, was one of the victim's prosthetic eyes.
Go ahead, Central 10.
We have a deceased at this location. It appears suspicious. Could we have Central Detectives homicide and crime scene attend?
Central 10, copy that.
Only down this end, but like a pollen of some sort. Probably from these trees, I'd say. I'll have to take apart that pool cleaner as well. That might be able to tell us something.
Neighbour said that Spivak was a quiet fellow, no enemies that he knew of.
Morning.
Victim, Daniel Spivak, white, male, 20s. Neighbour reported this as an accidental drowning. There's no way that this death was accidental. Killer probably came through there. That gate was unlocked, back doors were wide open. Nothing else seems to be disturbed, though.
Yes, I'll need to take the water temperature to help determine the time of death. No one's touched the pool's heating controls, have they?
No, Fisk saw to that. The neighbour said that the dog had been barking all night, so my guess
Dog?
is... Guide dog. Spivak was blind. My guess is that he's been in there all night. The bastard responsible removed one of his eyes and put it on the end of the
diving board. There's blood on it.
Oh, yeah, it's an eye.
I thought it would be prosthetic.
All right, so he's blind. Someone takes out his eye. What's that telling us?
Well, the killer didn't like blind people.
Maybe. I mean, why else would someone take out his eye?
Because they wanted it to look right.
Do you need a hand? Whoa, must have given you a fright.
It's all right. I'll get it. You're working too hard. Your mind was probably a million miles away. It's fine. Hey, I remember that one. Thank you.
No worries.
What's Tootsie doing here? It's about Spivak.
And how do you know that?
Oh, you saw her this morning. Yeah, she made me rush Spivak's photos through. Said she needed them straight away.
Did she say what for?
No. Yeah, right, I get the message.
Well, maybe she found something in the preliminary autopsy. Nice to be let in on it. I want to know what Fisk is doing with her.
You two got a minute. All right, Tootsie, we're set.
The Forensic Society is just a common interest group. We have experts come and speak. Oh, you know, technicians, bigwigs, whatever. I speak every month or so. And I might discuss a particular case to illustrate forensic pathology procedures. 6 months ago, I gave a lecture that featured a 2-year-old murder. It's an old man in his 70s. He was out walking his dog when he was knifed in the back with a long-bladed kitchen carving knife. The murder weapon was found on the killer a couple of days later. There was no question, bloodstains matched. I used this case, the basis of that lecture. 10 days after the lecture, this happened. He was also out walking his dog. He was attacked. The position of the wound, the track, the depth is identical. And the killer still hasn't been found. 4 months ago, I described a case that was 3 years old. It's a young Asian woman. She was smothered by her boyfriend while she was sleeping. Note the position of the pillow. It's identical. And this happened 2 weeks after I gave that lecture.
Killer hasn't been found.
I should have picked it up before this. It was only when I was going through my notes this morning that...
You're doing fine, Tootsie.
1 month ago, the case is 6 years old. I don't know why I chose to talk about it. It was odd, you know, just unusual. It was a young blind man. He was drowned by his brother in the deep end of the family swimming pool.
You didn't say it was the deep end?
Oh, well, I don't think the depth is of huge concern, Lance. We all know what we saw this morning.
Hey,
In the original case, the victim's prosthetic eye was removed and placed on top of his neatly folded clothes on the diving board. And this time...
the unfortunate Mr. Spivak.
We've got a copycat on our hands.
And I've been telling them what to do.
Tootsie is not a person who panics, so if she says we've got a copycat out there, then I believe her. But we do have to be sure, so go back, check out the original murders, find out where the people responsible are, if they're still behind bars, etc.
We're onto it.
But what about this blind person, Spivak?
Well, the door-to-door didn't turn up anything. No one was seen entering or leaving the premises.
Spivak led a quiet life. He has a sister, a few friends. They can't think of anyone who'd want to kill him.
Then all we've got to go on is this copycat theory. And our only lead on that are these lectures that Tootsie's been giving.
You can only get in if you belong to the society, and to do that you have to be sponsored by a member. Then all you have to do is show your card and that's it.
Big membership?
40, 50 maybe? Not that you get that many at the lectures.
Right, so what, mainly scientists, people such as yourself?
Police officers, lab technicians, writers. They like it for research. Plus there are a few just crime buffs.
There are 3 other pathologists who give these lectures. I've rung, I've checked. Something happening to Imogen.
Yes, but one of those is a woman, all right? So it's not a sex thing, OK?
All right. We'll need a list of all the members.
Well, sure, but I don't know how much help it's going to be. I wouldn't have a clue who came to what lecture. I don't really pay that much attention.
What about Janice, security guard? She sometimes works on the door, doesn't she?
I'm sorry, I should have thought of Janice.
That's fine. We'll talk to her.
Yeah.
Look, these are my lecture notes. I don't know
Imogen.
how much help...
Tell them.
Tell us what?
She's being followed.
I don't know for sure. It's just
What
a
do you mean you
feeling,
don't know
all
for
right?
sure?
It's
You're being
This is
followed.
still new.
You've been there for a year.
Well, it still feels new. It doesn't feel like home.
You're probably right. It's probably nothing, but given the present situation, we can't afford to take any chances. So as of now, you're under a 24-hour watch. When are you giving your next lecture? Because we set up a surveillance team. We videotape everyone who comes. Whoever it was has attended at least 3 of your lectures, right? So we've got no reason to assume that they won't attend the next one.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't.
All we know about this merchant is that they attend your lectures.
You want me to describe another homicide? You're asking me to tell them how to kill someone else.
It's the only lead that we've got.
I won't do it. Yes, look, I know what you want me to do. I know it seems logical. I'll look at photos, I'll talk to people, I'll do whatever you want. Just don't ask me to give another lecture.
No, it doesn't have to be a real murder case. You know, we'll help you come up with a murder scenario that is absolutely impossible to copy.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you want me to stay tonight?
Look, no, honestly, I'm fine. Anyway, Malcolm's men are sitting outside. I'm not exactly alone. Ooh. I feel like I'm in some terrible movie. Do you remember that one with the blind girl? She couldn't see who was after her. Actually, in the end, it was her blindness that gave her an edge.
Look, I'm going to go now and ring you later to see if you're okay. You know, I really am happy to stay.
I'll do it.
What?
All right, I'll give the lecture.
Okay, so here's the setup. Steve and Dee have been hired by the morgue to make an in-house training film for medical students. Now, they need permission to videotape whoever is in the audience, but none of the audience can get in without signing this release form. So we're outside taking note of anybody who has a change of heart about attending. Inside, Dee's playing the camera operator, Steve is her director. Janice, the security officer. She's been briefed. She'll be assisting on the door, as per usual. The rest of us, we'll be in the audience. Remember, we're all undercover. We line up to get in, same as them. We sign the release form, same as them.
Do you think you can remember all the regulars?
No worries. I'm good at faces.
So, Imogen, you sure this case is impossible to copy?
Yes, I told you, Lance. Will you please leave?
Pens are on the table. Collect the table. Thank you. Pens are on the table, sir. Thanks very much. Thank you, sir.
What's this? Sorry, we need you to sign that. We're making a video. It's just for today.
What sort of video?
Educational. It's for medical students.
About time they learned something.
Bag's got anything in it, she always brings it. See that guy? He's a nail biter. They always come together. I think he's his son.
Thanks very much, sir. Pens are on the table.
I presume this is to stop my suing you if you use my picture without my permission.
That's correct.
What's the name of your company?
It's on the form there, ma'am.
The gas bag never stops asking questions.
Did she tell you about the case?
No.
I'm sorry about the camera. The morgue's trying to raise its profile. An interesting case in strangulation. It's interesting to us, perhaps, but presumably devastating to the victim. Manual strangulation, which is what I want to talk about tonight, is caused by compression of the throat. The constricting force is supplied by the fingers and hands of the assailant. There are no ligatures. This is a do-it-yourself sort of crime. Tissue damage to the neck also means it's fairly easy to identify. This is the ultimate crime. One-on-one. Nothing but their hands.
What does she think she's doing? This is supposed to be
One
hard to
individual has
copy.
control of and ultimately overpowers the other. More often than not, there's a substantial sexual component. Here we have two circular bruises corresponding to the thumbs of the left and the right hands of the assailant. In this particular case, the victim was attacked from the front, which means, of course, that she has the dubious privilege of observing her assailant's face as her life was slowly taken away from her. She was a blonde Caucasian woman in her early 40s. She was 185 centimetres tall, 75 kilos. According to those who knew her, she was a big woman, full of life. She was single, professional, medical worker. In fact, she was a fairly cautious woman, except, of course, in her own home, which is where she was attacked. You see, the assailant was able to catch her off guard, in an environment where she would normally have felt perfectly relaxed and safe.
She's setting herself up as the next victim.
Capsicum spray was used to stun her and temporarily blind her. We look at the pattern of injuries here. You see the bruising on the upper arms, the absence of any cuts indicates to me that she was probably forced to a prostrate position where her assailant was able to immobilise her by kneeling on her upper arms.
I find it hard to fathom that you could be so stupid. Why didn't you tell me what you were going to do?
Because you wouldn't have let me do it. Stop. Him. I remember him.
That's Adrian McCarris.
If you think you're going to be alone for 1 millisecond, you're not. Not until we catch this killer. You don't eat alone, you don't sleep alone, you don't pee alone.
She's got the message, Malcolm.
Yeah, the woman with the colourful clothes.
Hey, that's Magda Trebor.
And there's the knitting woman I was telling you about.
Yeah, Iris Leap.
Do you want the man next to her, Tootsie? Is he familiar?
Yeah, security guard picked him out. That's Drew Leap. He's Iris Leap's son.
Maybe.
Magda Trebor, Adrian McCarris, Iris Leap and Drew Leap. You sure about Drew?
Yes. Yes, they're the ones I remember being at my last 4 lectures. Which one of you? Which one?
Aren't any of you the slightest bit curious?
Keep your knickers on, we'll find out soon enough.
We're all sitting in homicide. No one seems to care.
You told your boss you were at the dentist, didn't you? You want me to give him a ring? Tell him you didn't feel well afterwards? We could be here a while.
No. Thank you.
Homicide means murder. Helping us with our inquiries means we are all being questioned about a murder, which means that someone is dead, and we all know them. The question is who? Answer. What do we all have in common? The Forensic Society. Who is the one person we all have in common over the past 24 hours? Dr. Soames.
You think someone has murdered Dr. Soames?
Well, that's my hypothesis.
She's dead.
Is Dr. Soames dead?
No. Why do you ask?
Oh, well, it was just... I'm sorry. No, the woman with the scarf she's always carrying on, I shouldn't have paid any attention.
Right. Do you know a man by the name of Daniel Spivak, sir? He was blind, 27 years old.
No? Is that who's dead?
Can you account for your movements last Thursday, sir, the 27th of this month, between the hours of 6 and 9 p.m?
Well, I would have been where I am every night at that hour. I have dinner at the cafe near the boarding house and then I go for a walk.
Sir, on your application form for the Forensic Society, you state that you're unemployed. Is that still the case?
Not through want of trying.
I see. You joined the Society approximately 7 months ago, is that correct?
Yes. Look...
It's an odd sort of a thing to join, isn't it?
Well, not really. It depends on your point of view, I suppose. I find it interesting. It's also free. Well, nearly. Even I can afford the nominal membership fee.
Presumably, you knew someone who was already a member?
Yes, a palliative care nurse. Look, I don't understand. Why are you asking me all these questions?
You like Dr. Soames' lectures in particular, do you?
Yes. She's interesting. She's got a real passion for her job. It comes over, which is more than I can say for some of them. She just really cares.
I was wondering, would you be able to give that to Dr. Soames for me?
What is it?
Documents. It's just...
Take it out of the envelope, put the contents on the desk.
I'm a writer. It's a copy of my play. It's called Under the Knife. It's about a pathologist. She's dissecting society, trying to find the cause of its disease.
She?
The pathologist is a woman. That's why I want Dr. Soames to read it, to check it for accuracy. I can't abide lazy writing.
Well, it's up to Dr. Soames whether she chooses to read it or not, isn't it?
I'd be really grateful.
Do you know a man named Daniel Spivak?
Does he come to the lectures?
He was drowned in his pool last Thursday. He was blind.
I remember... Are you sure it was last Thursday?
You work in a shoe shop, Mr. Leap?
Yeah, for the moment. Mum's helping me look for something better. Is this going to take long?
Just a few short questions, sir. Now, you first started going to the lectures about 7 months ago, is that correct?
Yeah. It was Mum's idea. She was always on about it.
Thought he might meet a girl there. Uni student, maybe. 28 years old, all he does is sit at home. Couple of grandchildren, is that too much to ask?
All those dead bodies and stuff. That's Mum's scene. I thought I wouldn't really... But then I really liked it. It was Dr. Soames. I remember thinking, if I was dead, I wouldn't mind being...
Now all he can talk about is dead bodies. Still, at least it's a change in the conversation.
How long have you been cleaning at the hospital?
Long enough to qualify for long service leave. That do you? Didn't even get gloves when I started. But AIDS changed all that. Now you've got to be fussy with the vomit and the blood.
Where were you last Thursday between 6 and 9?
I don't know. Well, I finished work at 6, then... I just went for a walk around the city. Then I caught the train home. Must have been around 9:30. Mum was asleep in front of the telly. Is that it?
6 months ago you applied for a job as a morgue technician, Mr. Leap.
Dear Mr. Leap, thank you very much for your application. It was a standard form letter. She didn't even have the decency to give him an interview.
I'm sorry, who are you referring to?
Dr. Soames, that's her. She's seen him at those lectures. She knows how keen he is.
It wasn't a very good application.
All that caring, sharing front of hers. Sweetness and cream. Makes the morgue sound like home sweet home. It's all a load of bull. Excuse the French.
Oh, but there's another job coming up in a couple of months. I figured... Well, I've been to all the lectures. Fingers crossed. I'm going to reapply.
Do you know a man named Daniel Spivak?
Blind. Drowned in his swimming pool. Heard about it on the radio. So tell me, was it true about his eye being popped out?
Oh, Janice.
Gotta watch those muscles in the back of your neck. They can really seize up on you.
Did you want something?
Yeah, will you be working much longer? No. Yeah, good, eh? Take care now.
Doesn't look optimistic, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, we'll check all their alibis, those that can be checked, but the killer might not even be on the board yet. They know who their victim is. They're not going to linger.
I got a cover on Tootsie 24 hours a day. Nobody will get near her.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It was Adrian McKerris's former employer.
The department store?
Mm-hmm. Works in menswear for 18 years, right? Never has a single day off, never has a single problem. One day comes in, start taking all his clothes off. Complete crack up.
She was a blonde Caucasian woman in her early 40s. She was 185 centimetres tall, 75 kilos. According to those who knew her, she was a big woman, full of life. She was single, professional, medical worker. In fact, she was a fairly cautious woman, except, of course, in her own home, which is where she was attacked.
How long ago did you have the breakdown, sir?
14 months, 2 weeks and 3 days. A week after my wife's death. It wasn't a breakdown. It was grief.
You must have loved her very much.
Do you know what it's like to watch someone you love slowly slip away from you?
Is there a possibility?
Bastards.
Early days.
All they did was complain about
I've rung the morgue. Imogen's about to leave.
I know. We're on her like a glove. Mears and Saunders are in place. We won't be far behind.
Check the eyeball for prints as well.
I needed something
And?
to keep
Not
my
a thing.
mind occupied.
Clean as a whistle. Looks like it's been washed.
Every little detail, eh?
So you started going to lectures about dead people?
You don't think, coming so soon after your wife's death, that it might look as though you have some sort of obsession with death?
No, I used to have a problem with death, but Dr. Soames' lectures cured me of all that, for which I'm eternally grateful. It doesn't scare me anymore.
Mears, Saunders, you two take the back. You two, up the side. We'll cover the front. Tessa, you got your radio. Contact at all times. You see anything, any movement at all. If the guy next door takes his hamster for a walk, I want to know about it, okay? Okay. Away you go.
I've forgotten I had half this stuff.
You got your pager? Tootsie.
Oh, yes, I've got my pager and my mobile and my babysitter's outside. If you say this is all for your own good, I'm going to throttle you.
This is all for your own good.
Is anybody there? This is security. Step out and identify yourself.
So, who's going to be my personal bodyguard?
I'll keep you company tonight.
Hello?
That's Magda Trevor's play.
Who? Are you sure? No, it's all right. I'll tell them myself. Thanks. That was Janice, the security guard at the morgue. Drew Leap was seen in the car park.
He hasn't done nothing. My son is a good boy.
I'm sure he is, Mrs. Leap, but if I could just speak to him, we can clear this matter up.
I know everything my son does. He's been here all day.
Mrs. Leap, the security guard reported seeing him.
Well, he's wrong.
I know he's here, Mrs. Leap.
I told you to stay there.
I knew she saw me. I shouldn't have run. I don't know.
What were you doing there, Drew?
I wanted to see Dr. Soames.
He's not good at selling himself.
I wanted to see if she'd put in a good word for me about the job.
He always goes around things the wrong way. That's why people don't realise what he's capable of. I told you. I'll speak to someone at the hospital. You can get an orderly job there. He never listens. I know my son. I know what he's capable of. And one thing he is not capable of is murder.
How'd you go? Well, Drew's capable of murder, all right. His mother, for starters. I wouldn't put anything past her.
You know, maybe it's just everything that's happening, but Magda's play is making me feel decidedly creepy. Weird. Deeply. It's about a pathologist who starts to get haunted by all the people she autopsies. It's kind of fascinating, though.
I'm not fond of these townhouses. They're always so dodgily built.
Tootsie must like it.
Yeah.
What? Oh no! The pathologist has just had a breakdown. Whoops. Yes. Say that again.
Hey, we got some.
Tessa! Catch up.
Stay down. Oh, no, stay in here and lock the door after me.
Get her out of there. You all right? You all right? Yeah, I'm coming, please.
Did you get him? I told you to stay inside, Sam. It's you.
All right.
It's Magda Trebor.
Hello.
All right.
It's okay. She can't hurt you now, Tootsie. It's fine. Inside.
I only wanted to know what Dr. Soames thought of my play. You don't know what she's like. But the way she talks about dead people. She honours them. She talks about them like they're real people. That's what I was trying to capture, that truth.
Yeah, look, just hang on. You've lost me, all right?
You say you went to Dr. Soames' house?
This our killer, is it?
It looks like it. Until I know for sure, I've still got Mears and Saunders keeping an eye on Tootsie's place.
Play about a pathologist.
The hair looks wet. What's the John Dory with that?
Fell in the pool. Almost drowned.
Hiding in the bushes.
Almost
I was
drowned.
watching her. Look, I could see her reading it. I wanted to know
Holland.
what she thought.
See, the problem that we have, Magda, is that you're a professional liar, aren't you? I mean, you make up stories for a living, yeah? And these 6 knives you were carrying, Magda, all illegal, all concealed?
Research for my next play. I wanted to ask Dr. Soames how you can tell which blade makes a particular injury.
All right, well, how about you try this on for size, OK? You write a play about a pathologist who was being haunted by her past autopsies. The only twist here is you try and make it all come true.
What is it? What are you...
Spivak's autopsy report.
I thought they got the killer.
Yeah. Water in the lungs. Water in the lungs. No mention of pollen. Now, Spivak must have drowned in the deep end where there was no pollen and his body drifted down to the shallow end.
I'm sorry, I don't...
Ring Imogen. Tell her she isn't safe. Do it now, Constable, do it!
I wanted her to read my play. Why would I kill her? Look, I'm going out of my tiny mind here. I'm scared of the water. Oh, no one even cares that I can't swim.
You get out there. Spivak was killed in the deep end. His killer must have been a strong swimmer.
Major doesn't swim.
Come on, Tootsie. The killer could be at her place already.
I want Mears and Saunders now.
No answer.
Well, what about a motor or a pager?
Nothing. I don't know, maybe she's not home. She's not home. She's not home. She's not
It
home.
doesn't feel like home.
Makes the morgue sound like home sweet home.
She must be at the morgue. Janice? Janice?
She has the dubious privilege of observing her assailant's face as her life was slowly taken away. She was blonde, Caucasian woman, in her early 40s. 185 centimeters tall, 75 kilos.
Exactly.
Full of life.
As you wanted. I want this to be so perfect. So perfect.
Listen, no one will hear us. There are people here.
It was only the security guard. She won't stop us. I saw her.
You killed her.
I'm not a murderer.
You killed Daniel Spivak.
Because you told me to. Do you remember the first time we met? No, of course you don't. I was different then. I was a wreck. Oh, but you deserve the best. That's why I had to work so hard to make myself perfect for you. I used to listen to your voice. Yes, I used to hear your voice in my head as I was killing them for you.
Listen, if you kill me, it'll all be over.
No.
But you haven't got it right. This isn't my home! I said she was murdered at home. I made a point of it.
Of course, this is your home, Imogen. This is where you come alive.
It's Janice. I'll look after her. Find Imogen.
Your fingernails! Your fingernails! They're too long. They're cutting into my throat. They won't leave the right marks.
It's okay. It's okay now.
Try to stop. It's all right. Don't talk. The ambulance will be here soon. You'll be right.
How's Imogen? Where is she? She's fine. She's fine? I got her. Ow!
Give me your other hand.
Getting a bit old, Fisk.
Getting a bit old.
On your feet.
She snuck right past them. I've got someone fixing your door. Mears and Saunders had to knock it down, you know, and they're pretty good at that, but they had to make sure that you weren't inside lying on the floor.
I think I cut my tongue.
Don't talk.
Don't tell me what to do, Lance.
Now look, I'll hold on to you.
Okay.
Hold that in position. Up we get.
Now listen, don't go putting us through the hoops like that again, huh?
Man was a complete Fruit Loop. I tried to tell him he got it all wrong. He said this was my home. I said it wasn't. Actually, how did you know where to find me?
How's the report going? Need a bit of help with the big words, do you?
No, I've got it under control. Arrived at above location where I witnessed Adrian McCarris trying to kill my friend. Nothing ever gets to you, does it?
She's fine. Tootsie's fine.
No, I don't mean today. I mean the whole bloody job. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I'll see you tomorrow.
Just tidy it up a bit, Imogen. Hope you don't mind. And I opened a fresh bottle of wine. It is 96, not 95, I know, but it's a Shiraz. So, thought you deserved it. I'll just put it here.